Closed captioning for the Casey Malone Show is sponsored by Hunter Stevens Land Title Agency. Integrity, service, and commitment you can trust.
Oh yeah, Casey Malone is serving up local. It's time for the stories of our region, the tastes, the sights, the sounds, and the people in and around the valley. Get ready for some local flavor on the Casey Malone Show.
Today we check in with Mahoney County Dog Warden and our four-legged friends. I also prepare wild black bean brownies. But first, it's locally grown vegetables and fish at Westwind Urban Ag. I have been waiting months to come here. Rob has finally granted me access, and we are at the Westwind Urban Ag Farm here at the old Westinghouse Mill in Sharon. It is a urban farm, and it is aquaponic.
Correct.
Not hydroponic.
Correct. So aquaponics is the marriage of aquaculture, the raising of fish, and hydroponics, soilless gardening. So aquaponics is technically the combination of both.
There is no soil used here for any of the plants.
Yeah, we don't get dirty, we get messy.
Okay, and we got to watch that we don't contaminate. That's why we are in our antibacterial gear. And we're going to get a tour of this, and you are going to be absolutely fascinated. And the best thing is, everything that you see grown here, we can purchase.
Correct. So as
This
of
is all for
November
sale.
1st. Yeah. So we've been trialing at the farmers market locally, but as of November 1st, we'll be ready for sale.
All right, let's go.
Let's do it.
Hello, fellow engineer.
So I've got Calvin and Mr. Thomas here. They're going to help us
Calvin
today.
and Mr. Thomas.
Casey Malone.
Very excited to be here.
So as I was mentioning earlier, we actually have a pretty methodical process. So we'll harvest from one end of the raft beds, we'll shift the rafts down, and then when we transplant, we'll load it from back here. So it's a conveyor belt system. The plants will only spend 14 days in the raft beds. That's why we have the NFT beds.
What is an NFT?
Nutrient film technologies is to be able to grow the plant for 30 days here. So once it hits the raft bed, it is exactly 14 days from front to back. So we have a methodical process to be able to gauge our plants. So this plant nursery is allowing us to grow more plants per square foot.
You have just the teeny weeny seeds?
Yes, these are the seeds that we use here. We have Savanola Red, Savanola Green. You're looking at Cherry Creek Crisp. I just take a few in my hand. We'll get a few out.
See how little they are?
And we take one. In each little hole that's in the rock wall, we just drop one seed in each hole.
And they all take?
Yes, they all take.
Once it's all done, he'll label it, goes into our germination rack for 3 days, and then you saw the process where we'll transplant and harvest.
So within 3 days, it sprouts
It's coming
and it gets big enough to be put into.
Correct. Yep. So then I'll have light, so it start photosynthesizing and growing.
And in here, we have our plants in something called rock wool. We seed in these little holes right here. I don't know how well the camera can pick it up. They grow out nice and well. And then we take them apart, bring them over to the raft over here, and then split it apart again, drop it in, and it's done. And once this tray is full, it can go into the bed.
And you take the whole thing out, root and all.
Yep. And then we actually root it. So if we were harvesting, we would pull the whole thing out, clean up any lower leaves, wrap the roots, give it a squeeze so you don't have too much water. We would put that in a clamshell, close the clamshell. That's how you'd have a head of lettuce. So I can keep this stuff in my refrigerator for 4 to 9 weeks. This is the fish nursery.
This is the nursery where the little, oh my gosh, they're so little.
They're 5 days since they've been at our facility.
And they come like this, like little teeny.
Yeah, they come in the mail. In summer it's chilled. And we get them within 24 hours from New Mexico. We spend a half day acclimating them to our system water before we introduce them to our system.
And what do you feed them?
So we have a specialized fish food from Rangen. It's got your 30% protein as well as all your micro and macronutrients for the plant. So anything that passes through the fish turns into fertilizer. We feed these guys 3 times a day, the same time,
3 times a day. They're
every
just
day.
like people.
Yeah.
So is it, let's see, it
noon,
is
lunch.
noon, high noon.
So look, they're ready.
Look at this, they're splashing.
So sprinkle it towards the middle like a salt shaker and they'll come up and get it quickly.
Do I put the whole thing in?
Yeah, go ahead and throw the whole thing in.
Wow! Look at these guys, they're starving.
So once the fish are ready to be eaten, we will actually take them to a purge tank. And that's where we're really able to make sure you're getting the best tasting fish.
Now that is what I find interesting. So these are your future purge tanks.
Yeah, so there's two setups. So the purge tanks are in the back, and then this is a patented ZDEP, which is zero discharge extra production. So we're able to take all of the fish waste, put it through another bead filter, we circulate it, it breaks it down, it captures the solids, the nutrient-rich water gets pumped back to the raft tanks to add nutrients, and then you can take the solids and put them into a continuation garden, send them out for fertilizer, you
What
can dry.
exactly is the fish purging?
It's like putting them on a 3-day diet. So they store fat. That fat, stored fat, is actually where that fishy smell and flavor comes from. So a 3 to 5 day purge gets rid of just the stored fat. Now that that is gone, we can actually chill our temperature of our tanks to firm up the meat and be ready for sale for a live fish. We
And you
try to
sell
keep-
them whole.
We'll sell them whole. And then we're working with a couple restaurant chefs and
yeah.
schools to fillet them and clean them because not everybody
Yes.
knows how or enjoys it.
Exactly. Yes.
So we'll have somebody set up probably once a month to do that. So, trying to produce the best flavorful, cleanest product all year round
Yeah.
in an old torpedo factory. So
This is just freaking awesome, man. I mean, I am so impressed.
right, there's so
I want
much.
to do this. I might quit my job and come work for you.
So we are hiring and we do take volunteers. Food preservation is the next thing. Like we can produce 500 of these every day. Well, what if we're not selling or consuming 500 every day? What do we do with that?
So then you could
Get
either
into food
dry
preservation.
them,
Dry,
yeah.
freeze dry, air dry, can.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no waste. That's unbelievable.
No waste.
Zero waste here.
So if you have any plant waste, it goes to the gardeners, so local farms.
How did they find you?
I found
Rob?
them.
You
So
found them?
I have done a lot of this as a hobby. I'm on a couple boards. So I was on my board for the Junior Achievements of Mercer County. We had our board meeting here, and one of the board members said, "Hey, they're building that aquaponics farm in the back." So I actually stood up from my board meeting and walked back here, and Bill, the plumber who was building this system, I was sitting back here and I sat back here for hours and talked to him about how the system works. And, he's putting this together and he's like, "Wow, I've learned more just understanding talking to you." And I said, "Make sure you tell the winners that so when they're ready for jobs." So I made myself readily available so that way when it was built in December, in January when they did the
I'm
hiring,
your guy.
here I am. So
Wow.
non-traditional ways or guerrilla styles of getting a job.
The tilapia is now available for sale at Great Depth Seafood in Sharpsville, Thursdays through Saturday until sold out. Lettuce can also be purchased at Great Depths or at Donofrio's. Go to their website for more updates.
We can give everybody in Mercer County a head and a half of lettuce. So there's 110,000 people in Mercer County. We'll grow 150,000 heads a year. That's impactful, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Would you like some basil? Absolutely,
Yeah,
you want
I
some
want
basil.
some basil.
The Casey Malone Show will be right back with more local flavor.
It's the Hunting and Fishing Super Show and Sale at the Expo Building at the Canfield Fairgrounds. Huge discounts on rods, reels, and more. Hunting and fishing seminars on walleye, turkey, deer, and more. Free giveaways to the first 100 kids. It's the Hunting and Fishing Super Show February 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at the Canfield Fair.
We are getting close. Scaba Camp is almost here. A year-round destination for adults with disabilities and their families to get away, close to home. Accessible to all, with no barriers. Donate now to GABA Camp. Help others to enjoy this unique recreational destination. For adults with disabilities and their families to enjoy an accessible camping experience. Donate to GABA Camp. Given is living.
Kamara Jewelers is the place to buy an engagement ring because we want a relationship with you that lasts a lifetime. Your commitment with her is the same commitment we have to you.
We want to sit down with you and teach you about diamonds so you're educated on what you're buying. We have the largest selection we ever have, which is the largest in the area, and at the best value. And if it's not something in our case, we could always custom make it. We can make any dream come true.
Get real, get Kamara.
Locally sourced is good, whether it's ingredients or a bank, and that's why my bank is Farmers National Bank. Since 1887, Farmers has remained rock solid through every economic condition. Having a bank with a history of safety, soundness, and conservative management is a must. It all boils down to this. You need a bank that will help you reach your goals. I do too, and Farmers is mine. Farmers National Bank, rock solid.
Rulli Brothers has a great choice of quality cheeses. We use our relationship with Old Road Houses to specially select the product and then have it custom cut and packaged by our own local artisans. At Rulli Brothers Market, our family is in the store.
You better come on in my kitchen.
Well, today I'm going to make for you a very interesting recipe. A while back, I was at a bridal shower and this really nice lady was in from Virginia and we were just talking and it came up, of course, food and recipes. And I guess she's gluten intolerant. And usually I was like, ooh, yuck, you know, you poor people can't eat flour and all that stuff. And she says, well, you know, actually I have this really great recipe for brownies and there's, you know, no gluten in it. And I call them my wild brownies. And so she sent me the recipe. And it's really good. It's got a black bean base, raw sugar, and it really is a nice recipe. And I made it a few times. Super easy, comes together quickly. And I'm gonna share it with you today. Thank you, Terry McVeigh. And she calls them wild black bean brownies. So let's go over the ingredients and we're gonna make this dish. You're gonna like it even if you're not gluten intolerant. For this recipe, you'll need 1 can of black beans drained, 3 eggs, 3 tablespoons of coconut oil melted, 1/4 cup cocoa or carob powder, a pinch of salt, 3/4 cup of raw sugar or maple syrup, 1 teaspoon of vanilla extract, 2 drops of peppermint extract, and 1/2 cup of milk chocolate chips. So I've preheated the oven to 350 degrees. This is an 8x8 pan, and I greased it with the coconut oil. And to use this in the recipe, I melted the coconut oil, and I'm just gonna let it cool off just a little bit before it solidifies though. So it goes together either in a blender or use it in your food processor because you're gonna need the blades to really mash down these beans. So we'll put the beans in the dish and everything really just goes in. 3 eggs, and then the cocoa powder. You know, it all goes in except for the chocolate chips. The sugar, I'm using sugar in the raw, and I use that a lot. I like that sugar. And then the vanilla and the salt. And I need 3 tablespoons of this. So it's 1, 2, and 3. Now all I have to do is add the peppermint. This is nice. It kind of tastes like French mint, you know, like the Girl Scout cookies, Thin Mints. It really adds a nice flavor. And all you need is 2 drops. 1, oh, I missed the bowl. Okay, so 1, 2. Might be a little more pepperminty, but it's good. All right, so now I get this on here, and you just let it run. Now remember, I'm gonna taste it in a minute, but really let it run because you wanna break down the beans And you don't want the grit because it's a heavier sugar. All right, I'm gonna take a little taste to make sure everything's smooth. Still a little bit of grit. A little bit longer. Well, now this is done. So just make sure you really blend it because you don't want it to be gritty at all. You want to make sure the beans are broken down and the sugar. And then I have the prepared pan right here. I am just going to pour that in. And we're going to try to get every bit of the batter out of here. So I will scrape it from, oh, I don't even know where to put this thing, the blade. And we'll get it from the bowl. Well, you notice the only thing I didn't add was the chips, and these get sprinkled on top. Now, she called for milk chocolate, but I like dark chocolate, so I'm using those. But it works just as well. So you just sprinkle them all over the top, try to evenly distribute them. And you know, she said a half cup, but if you want more chocolate, I don't think it's gonna hurt the recipe at all. But it really does, you're gonna be surprised. These are a little dense and they're really good. I mean, I've given them to my friends when they come over and they don't even, you know, think that there's anything different about these brownies than the ones you get out of the box. So we'll just finish this off. I've preheated the oven again to 350 degrees and I'll put those in 30-35 minutes. You want it to start pulling away from the sides and you want the top to look a little dry. So look, isn't this beautiful? I mean, look how pretty it came out. And I know I should have waited and probably let it cool down a little bit more, but I kind of like it when you get the gooiness from the chips on top. This is really good. And you saw how easy it is and how quickly it came together. And I mean it, it's really dense, really chocolatey. You could probably leave the peppermint out, but I do like the peppermint in there because it tastes like a thin mint cookie. And warm with a little bit of ice cream, this is delicious. I really want to thank Terry for sharing this recipe with me because it is a winner. It's called her Wild Black Bean Brownies, and that will be on my website, CaseyMaloneShow.com. Look this recipe up. You are really going to like it. Cheers.
When I want local flavor, I watch the Casey Malone Show.
Rulli Brothers is way ahead of the competition. Check out Rulli Spice World, where you can buy bulk herbs and spices, plus candies, nuts, and fillings for pennies on the dollar. At Rulli Brothers Market, our family is in the store.
I'm Elizabeth Bernard. For more than 30 years, I've provided our Valley with sound legal advice. My associate Jennifer Righetti and I will be your legal representatives if you're involved in a car, truck, or motorcycle accident. Don't try to handle it yourself. We'll navigate the red tape of dealing with doctors, medical insurance, and all the obstacles that you'll face. Remember, there are no upfront fees on personal injury cases, and hiring a lawyer does not mean you have to go to court.
Call attorney Elizabeth Bernard, local legal experience for more than 30 years.
Locally owned, Hurricane Health and Wellness will help you weather the storm of your weight loss struggles. Safe and discreet, our experienced telemed team will prescribe the proper weight loss medication. Powerful weight loss solutions. Hurricane Health and Wellness.
Well, this is a checkup with you, Diane. It's been 5 years since your facility opened, the new dog pound, and Diane Fry, our dog warden from Mahoney County. When Bill and I visited 5 years ago, you hardly had any dogs here.
Right, we were just in the process of moving the dogs in to the adoption floor. We hadn't even moved them into intake yet. Yes, that was an exciting time.
It really was. I mean, and I could not imagine filling this, but now you are bursting at the seams.
You know what, we are. We're, where we always anticipated having around 60 dogs to 70 dogs maybe, now we are consistently up towards 80, sometimes over, and that's a lot. That's a lot for staffing, that's a lot for making sure that we're doing for the dogs what we want to, because we really do have the philosophy, if this was our dog that was in this facility, how do you want that dog taken care of?
Exactly. Now, how many employees do you have full-time that can help?
Full-time, we are, thankfully, because the commissioners see this, we have just moved up to more full-time. Usually we have 12 here, but that's 24/7. That's out on the road. That's in the office. That's to do everything.
You are open 24 hours a day here.
Well, yes, we have a deputy on call, but as far as our office hours, we're Monday through Friday from, I should say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 4:30.
Okay.
Tuesday and Thursday from 8 to 5:30. And then Saturday from 9 until noon.
And that is when a lot of Saturday is probably your big day for people that are looking for dogs.
Right, it can be. And we always start out with an application. Once your application is approved, then we bring you in. We learned a lot through the pandemic as far as why we were having issues with dogs being higher anxiety, doing a lot of these repetitious, like spinning, getting really nervous when they were never like that back in our intake area. Once they would come out on the adoption floor, they would, within a week, they'd start to get really nervous, they'd start to be frightened. It was because we were having people through all the time that they didn't know. And can you imagine being in...
So adoptions were really up during the pandemic, correct?
We were down to, at one point we had one dog and then no dogs on the adoption floor. It was unbelievable.
Because everyone was at home.
Right.
So now that it's opened up, are you getting those dogs back?
A lot of them, sadly, we are.
Yeah.
And I don't think you couldn't get the training. A lot of people really weren't looking up how to take care of you. You got to know what you have and what type of dog, what are those needs of that dog. And if you're going to get into like a pity mix or one of those bigger working dogs, that's all exercise. That's all exercise and socialization and playing. You've got to be able to do that. And, some people, they just didn't realize. So this is an isolation. So this is, if we get bite cases in, they have to be quarantined for 10 days. Or if a dog is injured or if a dog is severely aggressive, then they're housed in here because then, you have to take extra precaution. Yeah, I mean, we'll put that we're getting low on food. Megan will post it, and our community is phenomenal. And everybody listens so that we can keep their diet standardized so we don't have to run into any intestinal issues or
so this
anything.
Is the one that works with everybody, Pedigree Adult.
And it's a good food at a good price, and we have people bring it in at Christmas time. I mean, it's amazing. So this is the police kennel. And there's a keypad on the outside of the door, and all the police departments have that number. And so if they are comfortable, if an officer's comfortable with transporting a dog and find a dog, then we don't have to get called. They can bring the dog in. We have forms right here. They fill that form out. Yeah, they fill the form out, slide it into the pocket of wherever they put the dog, and they're out of here.
And I know that we're running like till the end of February for, to get them registered and get their license.
Yes.
How is that going with the licensing?
A lot of people don't understand it, and they think it's just about getting their dog back to them if they get lost. It's a state law. That's really why we're here, is to make sure that we are here to enforce licensure and to make sure we're one of those counties that requires a current rabies vaccine. That's extremely important. So that's
you're
what
held
we're
liable.
here to do.
Your dog bites. It's
It
on
is.
you.
People don't realize what all we are involved in, but that registration fee, that keeps the doors open, that keeps the lights on, that keeps the vans running, and that's what staff's here. Primarily, we try very hard to be completely self-sufficient, but we're a self-funded department primarily. So that's a big deal, and we've tried very hard to not raise license fees. But when 2/3 of or more of the dogs that we get in aren't licensed, they're not neutered. 80% of the dog bites are unneutered male dogs.
But more than food, you need a lot of other items.
Right. We can always use old terry cloth towels if you're getting rid of those. So terry cloth is great. Fleece blankets are good. We have a good supply of that, but we're always Dawn dishwashing liquid, laundry detergent.
Why Dawn?
Some bleach. You know what? It cuts through the grease.
Okay.
Dawn is amazing. It cuts through the grease.
Nice commercial for Dawn.
Yeah,
I love the new Platinum, by the way.
Yeah, very good. Fabuloso for the floors because it has a great smell. And you know, for the dogs, if you want to get something for the dogs, Busy Bones are great. Bully sticks are great. We don't do a lot of rawhide because it makes the dogs, sometimes it can make them sick or give them intestinal upset. We can use pumpkin, Ready Whip, peanut butter, biscuits, you know, so we stuff Kongs, we have Frisbees that we put, you know, stuff on. We have slow feeders that we'll put food in and hang them in there. We try to do some sort of enrichment every day, something different every day, so they don't get bored because there's a lot of time. They have a lot more
of downtime.
They
yeah.
do. They have a lot of downtime. So, you know, those Busy Bones last for a little bit, so do the Bully Sticks, something like that. The dogs go nuts over them, and they're good, you know, they're safe for them.
For more information, visit us on our website at CaseyMaloneShow.com. The Casey Malone Show is sponsored in part by Denise and John York and the DeBartolo Corporation.